There is something in your yard watching you right now, and it is using parts of your environment you almost never think about as observation points. Not directly, not openly, but through reflections, angles, and subtle changes in light and movement that you pass by every single day without noticing. And if you have ever had the strange feeling that something outside reacts to you before you even step outside, you are not imagining that feeling as much as you think. Most people assume squirrels only respond to what is directly in front of them. A human walks into the yard, a squirrel reacts. A human disappears, the yard resets. But the reality of a suburban environment is far more layered than that simple cause and effect. Every backyard contains multiple overlapping surfaces that distort, reflect, and partially reveal movement. Glass, metal, water, polished objects, even certain angles of bark and shadow. And animals that live inside that environment for years do not just move through it. They learn its patterns. They begin to build awareness not only of where things are, but of how those things change when a human is present. A window is not just a barrier between inside and outside. From the perspective of a squirrel outside, it is a shifting surface that changes with light, with interior movement, with time of day. And over time, squirrels begin to notice that these changes often correlate with something else. You. From their position in trees or fences or rooftops, squirrels are constantly exposed to elevated viewpoints. They are not looking at your house from one fixed angle. They are seeing fragments of it from many positions, stitched together over time. A reflective surface catches movement in one moment. A shadow shifts in another. A faint change in brightness appears when someone moves inside. And slowly, without any conscious decision, the squirrel begins to associate these small signals with your presence. A parked car in your driveway becomes part of this system. It is not just an object. It is a temporary, reflective surface that changes depending on weather, angle, and distance. When you move near it, even slightly, the environment around it changes in a way that is detectable to an animal trained to notice motion before meaning. A squirrel does not need to understand what a car is. It only needs to understand that when certain reflections shift, something important is happening nearby. The same applies to any still surface, a bowl of water left outside, a bird bath, even a shallow puddle after rain. These are not passive elements of the yard. They are dynamic visual points that carry fragments of movement. Light ripples, distortions, and interruptions all become part of a larger pattern that the squirrel's brain is constantly processing in the background. From above, from multiple angles, squirrels occupy positions where these fragmented signals overlap. A branch here, a roof edge there, a fence line that intersects with a reflective patch of glass. They are not watching you from a single point. They are observing you from a network of partial perspectives. And over time, this creates something that feels almost like anticipation, as if the animal knows when you are about to appear even before you fully step outside. What is actually happening is simpler, but also more unsettling, in a quiet way. The squirrel is learning the timing and structure of your environment. It is not predicting you as a person. It is predicting patterns of change that reliably precede your presence. Light shifts, door movement, sound vibrations, and repeated sequences of activity all become part of a learned system. And as that system develops, squirrels begin to treat certain reflective or transitional zones in the yard as meaningful indicators, a kitchen window that suddenly brightens at a certain hour, a car door that opens at a consistent time, a shadow that passes across a familiar surface. None of these things mean anything on their own, but together, over weeks and months, they become a map. In some cases, squirrels will reposition themselves repeatedly during the day, not because they are confused, but because they are refining their perspective. A branch here gives a clearer view of one reflection. A fence line gives a better angle on another. A rooftop edge allows them to detect movement in a different part of the house. It can look random from the outside, but it is actually a continuous adjustment process. The important thing is that none of this requires the squirrel to understand you in a human sense. There is no intention, no planning in the way humans think about those concepts. It is pattern recognition layered over time, refined by survival, repetition, and attention to change. But the effect can feel very different when you are the one being observed, because from your perspective, what you notice is consistency. The same squirrel appearing at certain times, the same pause when you approach a door, the same orientation toward a window you did not think was visible from outside, and the feeling that even when nothing is happening, something outside seems aligned with your movements. The environment itself becomes a kind of intermediary, not a passive background, but a field of indirect signals that carry information about you without you ever realizing it. And within that field, a squirrel does not need to see you clearly to be aware that you are present in some form. It only needs enough fragments to complete the pattern it has been building over time. And that is the part most people miss. It is not that squirrels are watching you directly in some dramatic or intentional way. It is that they are living inside a system where almost everything you do leaves behind small traces in light, reflection, timing, and movement. And over time, those traces become readable. So when you step outside and feel, for a brief moment, that the yard is already aware of you, it is not because the animal is thinking about you the way you think about it. It is because the system around you has already registered enough signals that your presence is no longer surprising.